Tammy Otterstein. I'm in our customer support department. I've been here for 5 years, and Kelly reached out to me to see if I can go over some of our digital banking tools and different platforms that you guys can use within your online banking or that Union Bank offers. And so I'm going to highlight some of those features today. Maybe you didn't know that we had them, and hopefully it's a tool that you can use in the future. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and I have a presentation for you all. Okay, so to start off with, we have a few different sections that we're going to break out today. So this is the Smarter in September presentation, as Kelly mentioned, and these are some of the things that we're going to highlight on today. So we're going to talk a little bit about our online banking and the kind of security that we have, and explain a little bit and go over kind of the benefits that that offers, as well as being in the online banking and the different features that it has, like transaction review, e-statement enrollment, debit card controls, mobile deposits, bill pay, and the message center. And then I want to talk about a little bit of our debit card fraud prevention and kind of best practices with that. And then we'll recap with going over opening a new account online, if that's something that you guys are interested in, wanting to diversify your bank accounts a little bit. We will go over that. So I first want to start off with our multi-factor authentication. Within UBTgo, you have your standard username and password, but we've also added a feature called MFA, multi-factor authentication. This has grown in popularity over the last few years, and it's replaced kind of those standard security questions that you may see, like what was your childhood pet's name, or what was the make and model of your first car. Unfortunately, there's a lot of information that's available on social media, and so some of that information can be easily attained. And so those security questions, a lot of platforms are moving away from that, and they're going into the multi-factor authentication. What that is a third layer of security where you are verifying that it is you logging in, and it would prevent any additional people from logging in who may not have access to your cell phone. So it makes sure that you are the only authorized user to log in. So the main reason for the MFA, or multi-factor authentication, is to limit unwanted logins. If you were to be logging in with your username and password at home, you wouldn't be getting these MFA triggers, whether it be the text option or the voice call option, because you're on your home computer and UBTgo knows that and it trusts that. But if someone may have obtained your username and password and they're logging in on a computer in New York, that should trigger this MFA from kicking in, and a text code or a voice call will be sent to your cell phone that only you have access to. The person in New York doesn't know what code was sent or what call was placed, and so they won't be able to successfully log in, and it makes sure that only trusted devices and online connections are easily being logged into. So we'll go over the different options more in depth. The SMS, or the text option, is probably the most popular option that we have. There are 2 other options, but I do suggest people use this one. All you have to do is enter your cell phone number, and it will text you a 5-digit verification code. A lot of people have their cell phone with them, but some people don't, and that's why we have other options available as well. Another option that we have is the Google Authenticator option. This would also apply for smartphone users. This is an application that you would download from the App Store or the Google Play Store, depending on if you have an Android or an iPhone. And what it does is it gives you a randomized 5-digit code through the Google Authenticator app. This is for the individual who maybe doesn't want to use their phone number connected to UBTgo. They can have kind of an outside online platform like Google Authenticator connected. Google Authenticator isn't only with Union Bank. There's a lot of platforms that use Google Authenticator as well. And so some people will have all of their logins within the Google Authenticator, whether they're logging into Capital One or maybe they're logging into their mortgage company, they will have this code generated from one platform, the Google Authenticator. You do have to have a smartphone in order to download that. And so we do have a third option, and that is the voice call option, where you can receive a phone call, whether it be to a cell phone or a landline, where it will call you and give you a 5-digit verification code that you would then enter, just like on the screen. You would enter it in the box and click verify, and then you're immediately let into your online banking. As I mentioned, these options shouldn't trigger as much for, your home trusted devices, your iPads, your cell phones, your home computers. If you get a new tablet or if you get a new cell phone, you will have to do this. But once it establishes a device, it shouldn't prompt every time, but you'll be thankful that you have this feature. Should someone else try to log in on an unrecognized device, it limits those unauthorized login attempts. So that was the MFA, or multi-factor authentication. So now we're actually in UBTgo. We got past the username and password, and now we're going to go over the features that we have in UBTgo. So a lot of customers use UBTgo for looking at their transaction history, reviewing any unauthorized activities, or just reconciling their books versus the checks that have cleared. Whatever works for you, that feature is available within UBTgo. So if you were logged in on a computer, you would just go to the account transaction section, and that will give you the option to refine your search history. So it'll automatically default to 30 days worth of transaction history. I would suggest logging in, at least once a month, if not sooner, to review your activity, but that's the default. If you ever needed to go back even further, you can see up to 2 years worth of account activity from this section here. You can search by deposits or withdrawals or certain checks. You can look by the check number or an amount. Whatever search criteria you want to refine, you can do it from here, and it will display your search results similar to this. If I was looking for only checks on my account, it would display only the checks that have cleared the account. You do have the option to view the image of the check if you wanted. You can click on that small little cartoon looking check underneath the number, and it will open up another tab where you can see the front and back of the check to see maybe who endorsed it on the back and ensure that it was cleared properly. So I encourage customers to use their transaction history lists. That way they can review any unauthorized activity. We'll talk about that later with the debit card fraud segment, but Union Bank will dispute any and all fraudulent transactions on your account. So keeping a vigilant eye on your account allows us to kind of help you and dispute those transactions and maybe correct mistakes that we've noticed. We can take care of that more expediently for you, and it gives you an idea of kind of where your accountant is sitting regularly. Another feature that we have within the online banking is the e-statement enrollment. So as an account is opened, it's automatically defaulted to mail paper statements to you. So once a month, paper statements will be cut and mailed to the address that we have on file. With the mail going all over the place, up to Omaha and then down to wherever, it can take about 7 to 10 days for that statement to be in your hands. Some people really like that paper hard copy of their account activity, but you can still have that within your online banking, and you don't need to wait the 7 to 10 days it takes to get those statements. Within the online banking, you can enroll for e-statements or electronic statements, where you'll just get one email notification once a month stating that your statement is ready to view online. Regardless of being enrolled for e-statements or not, you still have access to those statements, and you can print them from your home computer if you want. So you could still have the tangible piece of paper statement that you like. It looks the exact same from what's mailed. To enroll for e-statements, you would be logged into UBTgo, and you would be under the Accounts tab and then e-statement enrollment, and it will give you a list of all the eligible accounts that you have to enroll for e-statements. All you have to do is check mark the box on the far right, and then it will prompt you to enter your email address, and it will send you a verification code. Back to verification codes, where you will enter, and then you will be successfully enrolled. That will limit the paper mailings. That can be good for, financial privacy. The post office may lose something, or maybe something would happen to your mailbox. Having the security of an email notification of your statements is beneficial, and plus you don't need to wait the 7 to 10 days to get your paper statement in the mail. Like I said, regardless of being enrolled for e-statements or not, you still have access to view your statements online, and that would be under the Accounts tab and then Statements. It'll have you select the account that you want. If you have multiple accounts, you'll just need to choose the one that you're needing, and it will automatically populate 2 years worth of statements for you. If you click on the statement you need, it'll download it and you can open it. You can simply look at it on your computer, or you can email it if you're needing to send a statement to a lender or whatever the situation may be. You could also print it and physically have that paper on hand and keep it for however long you want to. So another feature that we have within the online banking is the debit card controls and the customization of use for our debit cards. So if you have a debit card attached to a checking account, you do have the option to customize the limitation of certain merchants or amounts, or even just the functionality of a card at all. You can turn it on and off if something is lost. You can easily turn it back on if you find the card in the couch or in a pocket. You can turn it back on at the touch of a button. You could also use it if, in the example I have, if some family member is traveling and you're on an account with them and they lose their card while they're traveling, maybe they lost their cell phone as well, whatever it may be, you also have the option to block their card. We have some parents who also block debit cards for their children, whether they be a minor, just to make sure that they're not overspending, to help kind of keep that watchful eye on the account and also prevent unauthorized transactions because we have those limitations in place. These are some of the blocks that we have. You can block certain merchant types, whether it be ATM withdrawals, e-commerce, which is just anything online. You can do in-store, which is blocking any in-person swipe or insert card purchases, as well as mail/phone orders. So that would be making purchases or paying bills over the phone with a debit card. So we have those general subsets, but then you can also block even more specific things like department stores or entertainment, gas stations, groceries, restaurants, anything fancy like that. You could also block a limit. So if you wanted to set a limit of $100, no transaction over $100 would process on your debit card. We have some customers who call in to customer support and they are about to go traveling and they have concerns of the security. Placing a travel note is one way of preventing unauthorized transactions, but we do suggest sometimes for customers to set an amount limit on their debit card to limit things maybe over $250. That would prevent any larger unauthorized transactions from processing. And it's well within your ability to customize this however you want. You can turn it on just as easily as you can turn it off. It's just at the touch of your fingers, and whatever works for you in your life, this feature is a great option to use. Another feature that we have within UBTgo is mobile deposits. I'm not sure if any of you have had a chance to use our mobile deposit feature, but it's something that I would love for customers to use because I don't want you guys to have to drive out in the Nebraska snow to go to a branch to deposit a check. If you have a smartphone, you can mobile deposit a check. All this is taking a picture front and back of the check, and within 2 business days, you will have the check in your account. The funds will be available to you. All you have to do is download the app, make sure you endorse the back, just as you normally would if you were to bring it into a branch, except you would add the additional blurb of "for mobile deposit," and then your signature as normal. But then once you submit the mobile deposit, it'll be in your account and the funds will be available. I do have it on the screen there, but the cutoff time is 6 p.m. If you make a deposit on a Friday night at 8 p.m., it's always in the account the next business day, which with a long weekend, maybe a holiday weekend, it could be a Monday or Tuesday. So just something to be mindful of. But for situations where you don't want to drive to the branch, maybe the weather's bad, or maybe it's just lots of little graduation checks or a wedding kind of check mass group that you got, you can do a mobile deposit right here and there. The limit is 5,000. If you contact us here in customer support, we can do a temporary limit increase for you. People get large reimbursement checks all the time, whether it be for insurance or just from a job, maybe we can do a temporary increase for you. But there's a lot of wiggle room in that 5,000. So as long as customers are comfortable with it, it takes about 7 clicks and then it's submitted. It is a pretty great feature. Another feature that you guys might be familiar with is our online bill pay service. Within UBTgo, we do have a platform called BillPay where you can set up and schedule automatic payments for any sort of bill that you may have. We do call them payees. So you may have 5 or 6 regular payees or bills that you have each month. You can log into one place and you can pay them from there. The benefit of using our bill pay service is you don't have to go to each platform individually. You don't need to go to LES's website to pay the bill, or you don't need to call Capital One to make the payment over the phone or pay your Spectrum bill in person. You can centralize it all from one place in bill pay. This would be found under the Payments tab within UBTgo. And you can add your payees or add your bills from there. You can set it up as one-time payments, or you can set it up as reoccurring. We have some customers that go in at the first of the month, right after Social Security deposit, and they pay all their bills right then and there. And we have some people who have everything on automatic payments, and then they never check it again because everything is working smoothly. So it's whatever works best for you and your needs. It's easily customizable. You can easily cancel automatic payments if you'd like. It's as easy as 2 clicks of a button. You can cancel automatic payments. I mean, I'm not sure about you guys, but I regret the day that I'm going to have to call Spectrum and cancel my internet with them because it's going to be at least an hour hold time. I would have the automatic payments set up in bill pay. I could click 2 buttons and I could avoid calling Spectrum or whoever to cancel the automatic payments. That's the benefit of using bill pay. It's all in one spot and you have your hands on it at all times. You can easily edit or customize it as needed. Another feature that we have that I was talking a little bit at the beginning about is our internal messaging through UBTgo. We call it Message Center. If you log into UBTgo, you can send messages to us here in customer support. There's a very good chance that you'll get me. I do a lot of the messages here, but you can send us any sort of question that you have, whether it be transaction specific or maybe just a general question that you have about CD rates, or maybe you're wanting to dispute a transaction on your account. By sending a message to us here in customer support, you'll get a response within 2 hours and we will give you detailed information on whatever your question is. Because you're logged in to your online banking and sending us this message, we know it's you. We aren't concerned about the security, so we will forfeit as much information as possible to give you a fully formed answer. And as I mentioned, you can avoid calling customer support. I would love to chat with you guys, but if maybe you are running around all day and don't have time to sit on the phone, then you can send us a message and we will respond back within 2 hours. You do get an email notification whenever you get a response back. So that is how you'll know that we were able to respond to you and answer those questions. What that kind of looks like within UBTgo is if you have a question on one specific transaction, if you've ever noticed there's a small little question mark to the right of that specific transaction, if you click on that question mark, it initiates a transaction inquiry or a message to our customer support team where you can ask any question that you have. Maybe you're asking who was this check written to, or what is this transaction going to, or maybe you're asking, why was this deposit put in my account? Whatever it may be, if you click the question mark next to that specific transaction, it will send a message to our team and we will respond back to you. If you have any hypothetical questions, maybe it's not transaction specific, you have maybe a question about opening a new account, or maybe you want to add someone to your account, you can still send us a message and it will look just like what you see on the screen, but the place to get there is under the Profile tab and then Messages. It'll initiate a message to our customer support team and we will chat away with you. We can go back and forth on those messages. I have messages that are probably 3 years old at this point. I'm going back and forth with the same customer and we're on a first name basis. So you can create those relationships with customer support and you can ask those in-depth questions and we'll be happy to kind of bounce ideas off of each other and help you as best as we can. Another thing that we have that's not necessarily UBTgo or online banking specific, but just something that I wanted to kind of talk on because it's near and dear to my heart. I am a debit card supervisor in customer support, and that's kind of where my passions lie. I'm very interested in how a debit card works, the different kind of blocks that may be on a debit card, and best practices for avoiding, fraudulent transactions and ensuring that we're monitoring our activity and we're recouping any sort of funds that a customer may have lost due to fraud. So with Union Bank's debit card fraud notification system, it's 24/7, 365 days a year. We are constantly monitoring your debit card, not in a nosy way, but in a fraud preventative way. We are looking at any transactions that may be out of the norm for what you have on your card, large dollar amounts, or maybe things that are processing in a totally different country. I'm sure you wish you were in Mexico on a beach, but I'm pretty sure that Mexico transaction is not you. So our fraud detection will deny a transaction if it thinks it is fraud, and we will reach out to you a number of ways. We will call out to you. There's 3 attempts that we will call out to you. You will receive up to 2 emails, and if you're enrolled, you could get a text alert. The text alert is a really great feature. You get a text within 1 minute of the transaction occurring, and you can respond yes or no on whether or not you authorize that transaction via text. You could also call into customer support. We can verify the activity over the phone. Maybe you were just making a large credit card purchase, or maybe it's Christmas time and you're going crazy for the grandkids and you're buying lots of things online. We have fraud detection that may block a PayPal transaction because it's processing elsewhere, but it's just a really fun blanket that you're getting your granddaughter. If you have a fraud alert generated, you can contact us here in customer support and we will clear it up. Your card will be active, the purchase will be approved, and you'll be on your merry way. If on the flip side, something processes and it's unauthorized and it was not you, we can go over your replacement options for the debit card, whether it be mailing or stopping into a branch for a new card. If there's any transactions that were approved on your account, we will dispute them for you and you will always get the credit back in 3 to 5 days is the timeline. So you're covered always. In the end, we will take care of you as much as we can, but just to let you know, those fraud alerts are in place. And so it's something that hopefully gives you a little bit peace of mind. We do offer tap to pay debit cards. So you're familiar with the swipe of the debit card, the magnetic strip. In 2017, we implemented the chip, the little metal chip on the card. And now we offer tap to pay, where on the point of sale reader at the Walgreens, you can just tap your debit card on the reader and then you can enter your PIN from there. So this is the progression of debit cards. It's becoming a lot more secure. It's not really anything that we see more often now with skimming devices. Skimming devices are physical things on a reader, and they could have been inserted in the magnetic strip of the swipe, but then the chip, it's really hard to get a chip reader in there. And then now that we're tap to pay, it's contactless. There's no chance of a skimming device catching your card information. And so you can see the progression of security with the debit card, making sure that everything is kind of locked down, but we still have our debit card fraud alert in process for you. And so that will always be monitored. Again, my name is Sammy. If you have any questions about debit card fraud, call customer support and I will chat your ear off about it. I'll move on from this slide, but if you have any other questions about that, trust me, I'll talk. So the last thing that I kind of wanted to go over is opening additional checking or savings accounts online, or maybe it's certificate of deposits that you want to open. I will be fully transparent. I have 9 accounts with Union Bank because I go a little overboard. I have specialized accounts for when I pay my rent, or I have a specialized account where I pay my car insurance. I have a savings account for moving. I have a savings account for Christmas. I have a dog account because my dogs, they're a bill of their own. So that's how I kind of separate out my checking accounts. And that's what I suggest for people to do, whether they want to have a separate account for home renovations they're doing, or maybe it is a vacation that they're planning for, or maybe it's, you know, your annual taxes for the IRS, property taxes, whatever it may be. Separating it out from your regular account where all of your bills and your deposits flood through is good. It helps you kind of keep a pulse on your account health easily. Within UBTgo, or just on UBT.com. If you go to our website, you can open an additional account online rather than going into a branch. That is still always an option. We'd be happy to see you in person at the branch, but to save yourself the drive in the Nebraska snow or the 100-degree heat today, you can open a new account online within about 5 minutes. If you're existing, a lot of the information floods in for you. If you're new, it still takes about 5 minutes and you'll just have to manually enter your name, your email, your phone, things like that. But if it's automatically approved, you get an account number right away. And so if you're needing to set that up for any sort of payrolls or bills, you have that immediately and you can jump right into our BillPay, or you can immediately do a mobile deposit, the things we were talking about before. It's fully available to you in that moment, and you can nickname the account any way that you want. You can get fancy, you can be more specific, whatever you want to do. It's a way of customizing and kind of diversifying your accounts. We did launch a new platform for the online account openings, and it's really slick. I do suggest for people to open accounts online, even if you're an in-person person. I think our online platform is pretty great. If that's something that you're interested in, you can reach out to customer support and we can answer any questions that you may have on that, or just anything in general. So that's all I really had today. We have quite a few minutes left. I didn't talk as long as I planned, but I guess we'll kind of leave it open to any questions you guys may have. I think Kelly might be monitoring the chat, but we can go from there.
I'm here.
Okay.
Sammy,
Perfect.
that was great. Thanks.
No problem.
We do have a question about mobile deposit. And I would just like to say that, and I probably shouldn't say this, I was hesitant to use mobile deposit for years. And now for the life of me, I can't imagine why. That's how I deposit all my checks. So the question is, after that little plug, is how do you designate which account the deposit will be made into if you have multiple accounts?
Sure. So because mobile deposit is done from a smartphone, you would be on the UBTgo app. And if you have a whole slew of accounts, the way to designate that, there's 2 ways, but I'll go over kind of the main way that we suggest. If I have 3 checking accounts, checking account 1, 2, and 3, I'm going to first click on the account that I want. Say I want checking account 2. Once I'm on checking account 2, I can look at activity or transactions, but from there, I'll click on the deposits tab at the bottom on the app, and then it will launch the mobile deposit feature for that specific checking account too that I selected. So that's the most common way that people like to designate which account they want to deposit into. The other way is from the main account summary page. When you first launch the app, it has all the list of all of your accounts. If you click on the deposits tab at the bottom from that view, it'll take you to the mobile deposit where you take the front and back of the check, but then you can designate from the drop-down menu which account you want to deposit into. It will automatically suggest an account for you. How it gets that suggestion is based on what account did you previously deposit into. If I deposited it into my savings account last time, it'll automatically suggest my savings account this time, but I can just click on that account and it'll give me the full list of all the accounts I have, and I can select which one I want from there. But I always suggest for people to click into checking account 2, whatever it may be, and then clicking on mobile deposit, and it will defer to that account for the mobile deposit for you.
Perfect, thanks. What is the next? Is it possible to make automatic transfers from one account to another?
Yes, I did not talk about that. Thank you for pointing that out. So within our bill pay feature, you do have the option to transfer externally. I'm not sure if you're talking about transferring internally within UBTgo, but I'll talk about both because I talk all the time.
Good.
So
Perfect.
talking about the internal UBTgo, you do have the feature to do automatic transfers, whether they be scheduled or one time. If you are logged in on a computer, you would just go to the transfers tab at the top, and this will give you the option to choose your from and your to. And again, this is all internal UBT accounts, you know, from my account to my joint or mine to my kids, whatever it may be. And it'll give you the frequency, whether you want to do, you know, every day, once a month, once a year, whatever the frequency may be, you can set it up from there. That's all internal UBT accounts, like relationships. So accounts that you are on, that's where you would do those transfers within UBTgo, is under that transfers tab. Within bill pay, you do have the option to transfer externally to other financial institutions that you are also listed on. Let's say I have an account with Wells Fargo, I hope you don't, and a Union Bank account. I can do an external transfer within our bill pay service. So bill pay, you can pay all your bills all from one location, but there is another tab within that payments tab called transfer money. It's a green color tab. If you click on that, you can add your external bank account. It does take a couple days to set up because if I am adding my Wells Fargo account, it'll initiate micro deposits to those accounts. So it might be a random 5 cents and 2 cents in my Wells Fargo account. That takes 2 business days to be deposited. Once I see what those cent amounts are on my Wells Fargo account, I'll come back to our bill pay and I'll enter what the cent amounts are. And then my accounts are connected and I can transfer money from UBT to Wells Fargo, or I can request money from my Wells Fargo to UBT. There is a limit for this. The limit is $2,000 every 7 days. So this is not a feature that would be used in lieu of like a wire if you were to be wiring funds to your other bank. A lot of customers use this if they are scheduling, you know, transfers maybe to their son's account who's going to college. I'm just giving him, you know, $100 every month for all the food that they eat kind of thing. But that's where you can do that. That's external bank accounts. Internal is through UBTgo under that transfers tab.
Great, thank you. Oh, I knew we'd have some CD questions. Can you transfer money from an Access CD to a checking account online? I don't see it listed on the transfer from tab, so I've been going to the bank instead. And they love to see you there, Susan. But Sammy may have another solution for you.
A little bit of a solution. So access CDs are CDs that you can access every 7 days without penalty. You don't forfeit any of the interest earned, and you can transfer money out of it You can't transfer money into it within that CD term. Once it matures, you can. Within UBTgo, it does not give you the option to transfer from an access CD, just because we want to make sure that customers are educated on the limits and the frequency. So because you can only access the funds every 7 days, we don't want the feature in UBTgo available in case people are transferring the funds 5 days apart, and then you forfeit some of the interest. And so the other thing is you have to keep a minimum of at least $1,000 in the access CD. You need at least 10,000 to open an access CD, but then you can transfer money out, but the minimum is 1,000. We could outline that within UBTgo, but I just want to make sure that customers aren't penalized unnecessarily. So that's why the feature isn't available in UBTgo, but you don't have to go to the branch, even if you want to. They love seeing your face. You can contact us here in customer support, and we can just do a transfer over the phone for you. And it's available immediately. So
Perfect. Thank you. Can I close an old savings account while online?
in a way, you can. So you don't have the functionality to close it yourself, but you can send the request to close it through Message Center. So in UBTgo, if you go to the Profile tab and then Messages, you can send a message to someone in our customer support team requesting to close the account, and we will respond back to you with your options. The most common option that we have is sending the account closing form through Docusign. In the end, we need an account closing form from you. You can get it from the website under the Contact Us in the top right-hand corner. You can sign it in person at the branch. We can mail you the account closing form, or we can Docusign it to you. Any remaining funds that you have in your account, we can either transfer to an existing account that you have, or we'll cut you a cashier's check and mail it to you. But you can initiate the request through UBTgo in the Message Center. Like I said, we'll respond within 2 hours. And so we can get the account closed same day for you, essentially.
Great. Thanks. I told you she was accommodating, folks. This is awesome. Okay. How do I get a different debit card? But I don't know if that means a new fancy one or a replacement. So maybe we'll have you for everything.
Yes. So if you have a debit card, which mine's on my floor right now, I would show you guys. Let's say it's cracked or it's worn, or maybe it's lost. If you call us in customer support, we can close the debit card for you, or you can use the debit card controls within UBTgo to block the debit card. As for a replacement of that lost, cracked, worn card, we can mail you one. That would be a request over the phone or through Message Center. Typical mailing is about 5 to 7 days, or you can stop by any branch location except for the 48th and Normal branch. Any branch location except for that one can print you a new debit card in about 5 minutes. It will be a new card number. If someone had fraud on their debit card and we closed it because there was an active dispute for something, it's the same replacement options. We can mail one out, or you can stop by a branch. I'm just going to lean down and get my debit card to show you guys here. No one write down my card number. I know I just talked about fraud. So here's my debit card. I have a fancy design. The design actually discontinued, so I'm fancy now. But if you have a design, if you go to a branch, they'll print you the same design. If we are mailing you a card, it'll be the same design unless you requested otherwise. You can see all of our standard designs on our website. If you go to ubt.com and you search for designer, it'll pull up our debit card gallery where you can see all the images. I know everyone wants a debit card with pineapple and Bankit on it, so whatever floats your boat. So that's kind of the standard debit card. We have a big blue, which is a standard blue color. Whatever design you have, we can retain the same design, or you can upgrade. Within UBTgo, you do have the feature to order a custom debit card with your own image. If you are in UBTgo, it's under that Profile tab, and it's called a signature debit card. where you can upload a picture of your own choosing. I really should upload a picture of my new puppy, but I haven't had the time to do that yet. I spend most of my money on her anyways. You'd think it would make sense. But within UBTgo, you can upload your own image. The backend department will review the image for any sort of copyright infringements or things like that. So it may or may not get declined, but I'm pretty sure my dog isn't that famous, so no copyright on her. So those signature custom debit cards, if you were to get them for the very first time, it is a $10 fee. If you were to get a new regular debit card, like what I have, or just a standard design, if you lost the card or if it was damaged, something like that, there is a $5 replacement fee. But whether you have your custom dog card or a standard bacon design, whatever you have, if you had your card stolen or if there was fraud on the card, no matter how we replace it, there would be no fee for that. It's not your fault that the card was stolen or that there was fraud on it. There would be no replacement fee. So I hope that answers your question.
I think that was a very comprehensive answer. I don't see how that could have possibly not answered the question. So thank you. I don't see anything else in the chat feature. Sammy, it's been fantastic to have you here today.